most of us don't even know what our real strengths are. In fact, I would argue that we confuse quote unquote skills like I'm detail oriented, or I'm a good communicator, or I have a skill in project management. We confuse that with our true strengths. To be your absolute best, you must understand and align your behaviors and actions with your strengths. That's how you elevate your performance. Otherwise, you are just swimming upstream and the water keeps getting stronger and stronger against you. It's like the current keeps pushing you down and down and down. We want to align with our true strengths, the things that from the inside out are really our competitive advantage.
You've landed inside Launch Street, the Business Innovation Podcast, where we interview top innovators out there shaking things up so you can innovate, differentiate, and get further faster. Since you're here, we know you're the type of person that recognizes the importance of unlocking your innovation advantage so you can compete and win. And now, your host, the person that has worked with leading companies like Disney, Procter & Gamble, Aero Electronics, the U.S. Army Research Labs, and Red Robin on upping their innovation advantage. Tamara Gontor.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night. So many of us everyday innovators across the globe. So good to connect with you. And if you haven't heard me say it before, let me say it now. Congratulations. I have a big goal that you are a part of making happen. And it's a goal that it doesn't just benefit me, it actually benefits you, the community, really all of us. And that is, the goal is to unleash 1 million innovators into the world. Just imagine the problems we could solve, the opportunities we'd create, the satisfaction we'd all feel by being everyday innovators out there, 1 million of us. And by listening to this podcast, you are taking the first step in making that happen. You are part of the 1 million. Now, there's 2 other steps you can take too if you want to go beyond dipping your toe in and being all in. And that's number 1, making sure that you've taken our Innovation Quotient Edge assessment. It's the only tool, proprietary tool, backed by, years of work and research and study. It tells you your unique innovation strengths, your innovator style. Go check it out. It's on our website. Step 2 is go join our Everyday Innovators community. This is expertise and guidance, tools, support. This is what's going to help you elevate that human performance and drive that innovation. Make it happen. Make it work for you every single day. So like I said, congratulations. I am honored that you're here, and I'm so excited that we are working our way towards this 1 million goal. Now, with all that said, today's podcast is all about human performance. And in fact, the 3 keys to human performance. So I spent a lot of time particularly over the holiday. I read all year, but really over the holidays, I had more time and I dug into reading and listening to books and podcasts about human performance, because I wanted to understand why some people seem to kind of elevate to that level and some don't. I wanted to understand how we all tap into this incredible strength we all have, this ability to innovate, and actually put it to work, and why some people do it, maybe, I don't know if more willingly is the way to say it, but still they do it, and others make the choice not to, because here's the thing. It is a choice. You can choose to be an innovator because we all have that ability, or you can choose not to use that incredible strength that you have. But I wanted to tackle it from the human performance perspective. And I dove in, and as I started going through all these books and podcasts and interviews and studies, I saw a theme emerge. And that theme took me a little bit by surprise on some of them. Not on one of them, but 2 of them really took me by surprise. And so when I looked across all this stuff, I realized, there's really 3 high-level keys to human performance. Now, there's many other nuances and details and other things, but these were 3 big ones that really popped that I just kept seeing over and over again. And I want to bring them to you in a way that's doable for all of us everyday innovators out there, in a way that actually allows us to put it into action. So let's cover the 3 keys to human performance, to your performance, so that you can unlock your competitive advantage, so that you can perform at your peak, so that you can be that everyday innovator you were meant to be. Here we go. You ready for it? Okay. Number 1, this one I found fascinating. Find a story that works for you and stick to it. I was amazed at the number of pro athletes who have incredible careers, an unbelievable amount of accomplishments under their belt, yet the story that they share is that of being the underdog. The story that they tell themselves and that they tell the world is that of having kind of a chip on their shoulder in some way. And at first I thought, well, that's stupid. I mean, look at their accomplishments. Why are they being all dramatic? That was the anti-drama in me. But then I realized this is a story that keeps them hungry, that keeps them motivated to perform at a high level. We all have a story that works for us, but what some of these people who elevate, who achieve at a high level really realized is they not only have to find the story that works for them, but they have to stick to it, keep it alive. Michael Jordan, who's obviously one of the best basketball players of all time, he was actually known for making up stories of rivalries or making them worse than they were. He's known for making up stories of people trash talking him. It fueled him. That was the fuel he needed to stay at a higher level. And he knew that. So he kept the story going, right? He needed to have a kind of me against the world story going on. And there's other stories of other athletes. If you follow CrossFit, you'll find that there's a few of the athletes like Matt Frazier, who also is like that. It's like him against the world, even though he's won, I don't know, what is it, 4 or 5? 4, I think it is, CrossFit Games titles, like by a long, long margin, right? But that story keeps him hungry and keeps him motivated. So we got to find the story that works for us and stick to it. Michael Jordan knew that. So that's why he was always inventing these rivalries and trash talking, and he needed that to keep going. He just knew his story and stuck to it. That's all. There's a woman in our Everyday Innovators tribe. Her story is the opposite that works for her. For her, it's all about my life is abundant and easy. And every time she tells herself that and kind of goes through the world like that, the world just opens up and she's able to perform at a higher level. That story works for her and she sticks to it. So I was shocked at the commonality of that, of all these incredible people who achieve at a higher level across business, athlete, everyday life, moms, dads, whatever you are, academics, politics, etc. All of them have a story that they stick to because they figured it out and it works for them. The key is keeping that story going. When we lose our hunger to perform, it's usually because we lose our story. All right, full transparency here. I'm going to tell you what it is for me. For me, it's people not believing in me. Oh, man. If someone thinks I can't do something, the fires in me rage. I play at such a high level when I believe that. So I've learned to keep that story alive. And yeah, I know what some of you are thinking. Well, Tamara, that's the opposite of abundance. It's the opposite of positivity. Not really. I'm super all into abundance and it's all for everyone. But there's something that pushes me if I know people think I can't do something. Now, fortunately, it's easy for me to believe this because, as you probably know, and much like you, I'm always pursuing the next level. And people often think I'm crazy and can't do it. And I love it. Instead of people not believing in me, getting me down, it pushes me forward. So find your story that works for you and stick to it. Think about the last time you really pushed yourself, that you really achieved at that higher level. What fueled that? What was the story, the narrative, the mantra, whatever it is? What was behind that? Once you figure that out, you are golden. You just got to keep using it. It's all about the story. Okay, number 2 in elevating your innovation and performance is turn wants into needs. I learned this really the hard way and from Tony Robbins. He talks about this all the time. He's got a YouTube video actually that I love. It's all about turning wants into needs. And I think what's the other thing he said? It's shoulds into musts. I think I'm paraphrasing right. Sorry, Tony, if I'm getting it wrong here. We don't do what needs to be done for wants or shoulds. We do it for the needs, what we need. Like that becomes our standard. So one of the things I've learned to figure out to really unlock my innovation and elevate my performance more than just in like tiny point in times is to figure out how to turn all those wants that I have into needs. Because when they become needs, they become your standard. When they become your standard, you don't accept anything less. You continue to play at that higher level. So my expectation of myself, my need, my standard is that I play at a higher level of performance, that I never give it half-assed, that I never give 80%, right? I'm always giving 100% across everything I do. That's my performance level. But that's because that's become a must for me, not a want. I don't want to be a high-level achiever. I don't want to be a high-level performer. I don't want to be an everyday innovator. I need to be. I must be. That is a given for me now. So number 2 in elevating that innovation and performance is turning your wants into needs. Now for number 3. Now this one I'm really going to dig into, because this is something that is at the foundation of everything, and that is this. Understand and align with your strengths. So number 3, understand and align with your strengths. So if you saw any of my posts or listened to any of my past podcasts last couple of weeks, I talk about this thing that I'm all in for called the 12-week year. And it's kind of a achiever's planning process where you take 12-week cycles, kind of like periodization in athletics, and you turn it into your plan and your actions. And Brian Moran's one of the authors of the book. And in it, he says, in reality, it is the focused and concentrated application of your strengths that will produce your greatest achievement. He's right. I thought that was so well said, and something that we teach in the realm of innovation and your strength and your abilities there in your unique way. Half the challenge we have with innovation is we try to do it like somebody else, which doesn't work. That's not our strengths. But he's right. You can shore up your weaknesses, but you can't win without intentionally leveraging your strengths. Here's the thing. Most of us don't even know what our real strengths are. In fact, I would argue that we confuse quote unquote skills like I'm detail oriented, or I'm a good communicator, or I have a skill in project management. We confuse that with our true strengths. To be your absolute best, you must understand and align your behaviors and actions with your strengths. That's how you elevate your performance. Otherwise, you are just swimming upstream and the water keeps getting stronger and stronger against you. It's like the current keeps pushing you down and down and down. We want to align with our true strengths, the things that from the inside out are really our competitive advantage. Here's the other thing I've really come to realize in my 25 years of work and research and understanding human behavior and performance and neuroscience is that, we think inaccurately that our strengths are obvious to us. But what I've come to see in so many people, particularly around our ability to innovate, is that we have unlearned, we have kept our strengths dormant, we have talked ourselves out of our strengths. So in many ways, we're self-sabotaging. We're working against ourselves because our strengths are in there. Maybe we don't believe them, we don't understand them, we've been trained not to use them because of, just our environment, our bosses, education, life, fill in the blank. So we think that our strengths should just be obvious, but they're not always. You'd be amazed at how many people need to unlearn and learn a few new things to really unlock those strengths. And there are a lot of different ways to look at your strengths. So let me give you one of them that is in my opinion, in my experience, the foundation to human performance, to elevating your performance, and to innovating. And that is your ability to innovate. Let me dig into the science and style of how you innovate, because that is the foundation of your ability to perform at your peak. So first of all, 3 things in the science of innovation that I've come to realize in my research and delving into the neuroscience and human performance field and behavioral psychology. Number 1, we all have the structures for innovation, to innovate, to think strategically, create a problem solving, right? Think differently. That's what innovation really is. We all actually have that structure in our brain. And in fact, we have structures for intelligence and innovation, and they're distinct. So innovation is like deep road boundaries. Think of it as a highway, super fast. Innovation, think of it as a lot of loosely connected side roads. But what I want you to really recognize about yourself is you have the structures inside of you. So it's possible that you've kept them dormant and not be using them, but science shows us you have them. The second thing about science of human performance and innovation that I want you to understand is that innovation is actually a whole brain experience. So scientists used to believe that innovation was relegated to one part of your brain. Turns out that's not true. What the MRIs show us is that when people innovate, they actually light up their whole brain. And it actually taps into the reward center of your brain, that it releases dopamine. That's why it feels so good to innovate, right? When you solve that sticky challenge, that's why it feels so good. So we have the structure. It's a whole brain experience. And here's the third part. And this is maybe the most important to us and kind of brings this all together. And is that our brains are actually flexible and they can change. Scientists have come to realize that we have something called neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity means our brains can adapt and evolve and create new synapses and change the directions of our synapses. It used to be believed that, once we were 25, the structures of our brain were set in stone. That was it. Turns out that's not true at all. So you can learn a new skill. And in learning that new skill, your brain is going to adapt and grow and change. Let me put it directly in a way that, at least for me, really makes sense. Our brains, while not technically a muscle, actually in this way acts like one. If we intentionally and consistently exercise our innovation, our ability to innovate, we'll get stronger, we'll adapt, we'll grow. And if we don't, we'll get weak. That's why when people come to me and say, I'm not innovative or it's exhausting when I innovate, what I'm really hearing is I haven't used that part of my brain in a while and it's hard. Of course it is. That'd be like going to the gym after not doing any exercise for a year and expecting to do 50-pound dumbbell curls or something, right? It's hard. So the science of innovation is we all have the structures. It's a whole brain experience and it's flexible and can change. That, and understanding that about yourself, is a fundamental key to human performance. And when you layer on the style of innovation, it's easy to unlock it inside of you, inside all of us. Let me tell you what I mean by style. In digging into all this research, I uncovered one simple truth, and that is this. Being innovative is universal. We all do it. However, how we innovate is unique to each of us. And what we uncovered in our research is that there's 9 styles or triggers of innovation. I like to call them triggers because I see them as unlocking our natural ability to innovate. But these 9 triggers are different ways in which we and humans innovate. You might be an experiential innovator. You might be a collaborative innovator. You might be a risk-taker innovator. You might be an imaginative innovator. So all these things. Now, if you've taken our IQE, our assessment, you know what type of innovator you are. If you haven't, go take it. It will tell you exactly. We've built a custom proprietary tool over the years that tells you how you innovate. The cool thing about the triggers and about your everyday innovator style. So let me back up and tell you this. Your everyday innovator style, something we all have, is a combination of your top 2 power triggers, your wellspring of innovation, your natural strengths, and the presence of a dormant trigger. Not necessarily your weakness, but it's going to exhaust you to play there. When you focus on playing to those 2 power triggers that make up your everyday innovator style, that's how you unlock incredible innovation. That's how you perform at your peak. That's how you get into that zone, that flow state where things are like all engines are humming together and you're just in it and what you're producing is quality. Yeah, that's how you get in the zone. You have a stronger, more valued voice because you're stepping up and into your innovator self. You unlock innovative ideas and solutions everywhere. You stop hitting the brick wall. So I think life or obstacles is a lot like a brick wall. And the challenge is when we're not performing at our peak, when we're not being innovators, we just keep running into the brick wall over and over again, hoping for a different result. And I think, as we all know, it doesn't really work. Maybe sometimes we back up a little and run a little harder, maybe get a longer runway. Doesn't work, right? We want to figure out how to go over it, under it, through it, around it, remove it. When you are in that innovative mindset, when you've unleashed that, when you're performing at your peak, that's how you do that. That's how you take that brick wall, and instead of running into it, you go over, around it, through it. And to me, that is what performing at your peak is all about. Innovation, your ability, your unique ability to innovate is the foundation to your performance, to elevating from where you are now to where you want to be. And I'm just going to reference myself for a second, not just where you want to be, but where you need to be, right? Going back to number 2. All right. These are the 3 keys to being your best, to elevating that performance and unlocking that innovation, which is at the foundation of all of it. Number 1, find the story that works for you. Stick to it. If it's that the world is abundant, great. If it's that the world is against you, great. Whatever works, use it. Make it happen. Number 2, turn those wants into needs. Make the things you're striving for expectations that you won't go for anything less. Make them your standard and you will step up into them. And number 3, understand and align with your strengths, especially your innovation strength. I think 2021 is the year to be your best. And I really mean that. Now, I don't think just because the year changed over and the clock suddenly struck, midnight, that everything changed. But as I talked about in my last Tuesday podcast, I talked about playing to your level, not the level of other people around you, right? We have this tendency to fall into this mediocre cycle because that's what we see around us when we're not even playing to our own level. So go back and listen to that podcast. It's the last Tuesday one. So in that podcast, I talk about playing to your level, not the level of your competition. And these 3 nuggets, the finding the story, wants into needs, and understanding and aligning with your strengths, that's going to help you do just that. 2021 is absolutely the year to be your best, regardless of the circumstances. Tamara, out.
Thanks for hanging with us on Inside Launch Street. If you know someone that is truly ready to unlock their innovation advantage, have them join you on Launch Street. Discover your innovation advantage. Build a team of high-performing innovators and ignite ideas and solutions that create massive impact. GOTO, launchstreet.com. Remember, innovators, if you don't take the leap, somebody else will.